Hey guys, I'm just here to remind you that Joe's Shrimp Shack has excellent tissue culture. What the f*** is tissue culture?
They're plants.
Plants?
Yes.
Plants. Okay, they have excellent plants, such as, oh god, Alta Arena, what?
Just sound it out.
Okay, next one. Amamamanin,
Come on, man, they're vowels.
Heterorana.
Just go to the next one.
Dildolopolis?
They're not Dildolopolis.
Dildolopolis. I swear that says Dildolopolis. You know what? Okay, how about this? Ranacorlalana,
Just read the last one.
the last one? Strarugaruni? You know what? No, I quit. I'm done.
But it's always hard to get good help. So, guys, go to joeshrimpshack.com. You can order great tissue cultures free of disease, snails, tissue cultures free of disease, snails, and whatever else. They're $8.99 a piece, shipped to your door. Use promo code Aquarium Guys at checkout for 15% off your entire order. Don't feel bad. I quit.
This is dumb.
No one can pronounce these plants. And guys, don't forget about our friends at the Ohio Fish Rescue. Wait, Rich? Rich, is that you? You came all the way? Wait, no. What are you doing with that? No, put that down. Wait,
Welcome to the Aquarium Guys Podcast.
Welcome to the Aquarium Guys Podcast, and as you can see, I am not Rob's Olsen.
He is actually tied up in the closet back there, and he's not going to be with us tonight.
No, he wants to be. He's a little tied up right now.
So you guys seen that the Aquarium Guys Podcast just took over our YouTube channel. Well, tonight we are taking over his podcast. With us tonight, we have...
what do you want to call him? I usually call him...
The legend.
The legend, We also have...
All the way from Boca Raton, Florida.
Yes. This is the superstar in shipping. You guys don't even know. This guy ships daily, so... Any questions you guys need, this man will be able to answer. This is the superstar called Rodrigo Rojas himself.
or just Aeropymanek works too.
Aeropymanek from Predatory Fins. Now he's going to be here to answer all your questions and you know anything you need to know about shipping. Our questions, right? Rodrigo, our first question is. How come we don't have no big fish from your selection, brother?
We did. We shipped the sturgeons. Remember the long time ago.
You did ship us a sturgeon. You did fly up and did the whole Greg Whitstock video. That was the fish release video. Yes, you guys should look back in our videos and see this because Rod actually he was the man that day. What was it?
The Niger cat?
The Niger cat jumped out of the net from the people inside the 4,400-gallon tank, and this thing jumped, and there's only like 1.5 foot room above the top of this tank to the ceiling. This fish hit the ceiling and then started heading down. Rodrigo caught it midair and ran to the pool, the pool pond, and released it. And then I pushed him in behind.
That was your way to say thank you, right?
right. It was awesome. It was awesome.
That's a fish that'll mess you up.
Oh, that fish has bones sticking out each side, and they will cut you. They will, cut a hole in a pool pond. They are vicious little fish, and not little. This was a 4-foot monster. Rod caught it like he was holding his baby for the first time ever.
I hope my baby doesn't look like that.
Right?
Why? That would be an improvement on you, brother.
Not on Lisa.
No, you got this. The cute girl. And you know what? We appreciate you, how you caught that and, saved our fish and then put it in the water. And I look back on that time and I should never have pushed you in, brother.
Don't worry about it. I got him back.
He got me back. He pushed me in later that day.
That's right. That was a great fun time, though.
It was a good time. It was a great time. Now, on to this. Tonight's topic is about shipping.
So we're basically going to give a rundown from, small fish all the way up to the big, gigantic fish and how we should, ship them and any, do's and don'ts.
To the people that don't know anything about it.
Right.
We all look at each other like, oh, well, Rod's been shipping forever. He knows what he's doing. You've been shipping. We know what we're doing, but we take things for granted. So we need to get out the information for the people that don't know.
And we can also throw in some story time, here and there.
Oh, yeah.
We got a few funny stories.
All right, so let's start with small fish, for example, right? Mm-hmm. We ship them UPS overnight. Priority overnight, so we pay a little more just for that service to be able to arrive between 10 and 12 o'clock in the morning.
Well, you know what? Everybody's the go-to thing used to be airport to airport with somebody that had an account there. And it turns out UPS overnight is great, and it's been the new go-to thing, so it's working really great for everybody.
I say larger fish or fish that are higher price tag on it, or those fish definitely 100% airport to airport is the safest way.
Right.
But UPS is definitely, in my opinion, I tried USPS, I tried FedEx. UPS was 95 to 98%. The fish arrive alive, no problem.
Right, no problem. And it's a great service, so it just costs just a touch more.
Right.
But it's a great service. It's the best. It's the go-to service of the day now. That's what everybody's using, Overnight Express.
Well, I heard that there's people that ship like 2 days or 3 days and the fish still arrive alive. I just put the fish in that
fish are packed in pure oxygen, and they take precautions for that kind of stuff, and they can last up to that. But Overnight Express is the most mentally forgiving shipping method.
While we're on this topic, speaking of how long a fish can live in a bag packed in pure oxygen, what is that timeline? How long can a fish last in a bag?
It depends on the size of the bag.
Yeah, well, it depends on the size of the fish and how many fish is in the bag. But I've had a customer that actually purchased from another store, and he said the fish took a week to get there, and he arrived alive. It was a channel catfish. So these
the species of fish, because if you guys are importing direct from the country of origin, stingrays are an ideal item for shipping. The only problematic with a stingray in shipping is if the box gets flipped over and over and over again. But a stingray has such a low metabolism rate for absorption of oxygen level. As long as it's kept at an even temperature, it won't burn through the oxygen quickly. Discus is another example as well. They're ideal for shipping. They just sit there, they calm right down. You don't even have to trank them, and they're good, perfect for shipping. But you put anything that's a high stress fish, like a iridescent shark or any barbs or tinfoil barbs or any of those speedy, high-energy fish, they're a nightmare. You got to trank them or something to calm them down. Otherwise, they burn through the oxygen too fast and pollute the water.
Saber-tooth barracuda or Payera. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Those types of fish are 100% better to do airport.
Right.
I'm in Canada.
I agree 100%.
Big differences in Canada, back in the day, we used to do airport to airport, hobbyist to hobbyist, stores to hobbyist, whatever way you wanted to do. Now, a lot of things have changed. In 2001, the world changed in the U.S. for 2001, had ramifications globally. And then now with the new situation in Canada, I can't take a box of fish and ship it at the airport. Even if I wanted to, I'm not allowed to. You have to be.
Really?
You have to be an approved shipper within Canada. And my dear friend who owns a big wholesale operation here, the hoops he had to go through, he has to have biometric locks on his building. He has to have 24/7 live 4K cameras that monitor everything, that they can go in and check the video to show that the minute every fish that was caught is always on video from the time it's caught out of the tank till it's bagged, till the box is taped up.
Are you serious?
Because once it leaves the building, it can be X-rayed, but with the technology today, this the way the world is today, the political climate of the world today, everybody's always the bad people are always looking for a way to screw it up, right? And
it's funny. It's funny you said that. I don't know if you guys heard of this, but years ago there was a big shipper bringing cocaine inside of dead koi through Miami, and the Fish and Wildlife officers, the first time it came, they checked it out and they're like, wow, all of them came in dead, so they're like, whoa, this is really weird. So the next time the shipment came in, it was double the boxes and all the fish were dead. So one guy actually opened up the bag and flipped over the fish, and he was all stitched up, and it was full of cocaine, all the boxes.
Didn't you used to deal in dead koi?
Listen. That's one fish I don't want to deal with.
That was too good to pass up.
That was his buddy Ray.
If you go back years ago, when I was breeding fish on the large scale, I was always just a hobbyist. I was never a commercial exporter, but I would ship fish regularly I remember shipping regularly to Korea, China, Japan, some different weird countries. And I could ship.
It was easy.
It was easy back then. I could ship air freight. It would probably cost, $100 Canadian, which is about $8 American now. And we'd use breather bags. Breather bags were exceptional because I could ship 10 times the amount of fish if I used breather bags because you didn't put any air in the bag whatsoever. And I've had fish go for 4 days, 5 days. Honestly, I've actually been to a fish show and I've bought things like killifish, low oxygen requiring fish, bagged them up at a fish show and brought them home, everything through the whole trip home, and thought I landed everything. And then weeks later, finding a bag of fish. And you think they're all going to be dead? They were fine, just landed them. They were a little emaciated, but it happens.
It does, yeah.
So while we're on the topic of bringing fish across the border, while we have Ron on the podcast, I'm going to get his input on this. We have a 40-inch Arapaima up in Ontario right now.
In Canada.
That the guy's wanting us to rehome because he got into some financial trouble. Now he's getting rid of his house and whatnot.
But let me say this. It's on the CITES 2 list. Coming across the border, we're kind of sketchy. We don't know. We called the Border Patrol. They said, no big deal, blah, blah, blah. They need to talk to the people in the United States. We called the United States Border Patrol. They're not open. Now, can we go up to Ontario, pick up this fish, which Canada says is no problem, bring it to across the border to Ohio?
Hold on, Rick. Canada's irrelevant in this one because you're not bringing it to Canada. You're taking it from Canada.
Right. We're taking it to Ohio. And our Border Patrol is not open to give us any answers.
Yeah, but Big Rich, because it's a CITES species, the people in Canada have to apply. The reality that's the when we ship Arapaimas to Canada, for example, we have to apply for a CITES here, and they have to make sure that they tell them that it's a CITES species because they get inspected. Yep. You see what I mean? Right. So bringing it to the U.S., they might require to come in with CITES paperwork.
And that paperwork usually takes about 3 to 6 months to actually process, too.
Really? Maybe, it's the wrong way, but maybe just try to bring it in without saying anything. That might be the only way if they're closed.
Do you have anything
to
close? No.
There you go. So speaking on that, we don't really want to do anything illegal. Do you happen to know anybody up there by Ontario, Canada, but right outside of Toronto that would maybe possibly want this fish?
I don't. I mean, we can make a video and an announcement. Somebody that, that can go.
We did the same thing on Ohio Fish Rescue. And if you want to do it on, predatory fins, that's up to you. But it's a free 40-inch Arapaima that we cannot get across the border right now because of bullshit.
Yeah.
But if somebody up in Canada wants it, they can give it a good home. We're more than willing to give them the the location?
It's a 40-inch Arapaima, 3 red tail cats between 12 and 24 inch, and a pleco. Back to the discussion topic.
Yes.
Shipping fish.
Shipping fish. Now, listen, here's two different opinions. Okay. When people get fish shipped in and they're in CO2.
O2, oxygen.
O2, oxygen. Pure oxygen. My bad. Okay, when they're in pure oxygen, here's the thing. If you was to take that fish and open that bag, at that point, the pH is going to change instantly. The ammonia is going to change because it was in O2, pure oxygen, and now you're opening it up to regular air. The chemical difference is going to change things. Here's the bad thing. Now, if you get fish shipped in and it's not in O2, pure oxygen, you can float it in your tank. You can let a little water in. You can, acclimate it, whatever, and then release it. But in fish that are in pure oxygen, here's the problem. That pure oxygen stops a lot of things from happening. And the moment you open that bag, your pH changes and your ammonia level goes up. So what you want to do is pour that fish out of that bag after you've acclimated it and let it, float in your water for like an hour or so, half hour. You can then pour it through a net and let all the water out. And you just take the fish itself and put it into your new tank. You do not want to put the water in there and you do not want to acclimate that fish because you're stressing that fish at that time.
When we take a bag and we float a bag, the only thing we're doing is acclimating to the temperature. That's it. There's nothing.
Temperature, right.
But bottom line is the most important factor and the thing that's often ignored by people when they're buying fish on Aquabid and they're shipping between hobbyists or stores or buying fish from Rod, what the water chemistry in the bag at the time it was bagged is. Rod, what was your water like when I bought the fish? It's irrelevant what it is now. I just need to know what it was like when I bought it, because when I get it, I can just quickly test the pH. And if it's high, the problem you run and the pH drops because of the organic load that's in the water. The minute you start dripping water from your tank into that, you're going to release all that stray ammonia and you're going to kill the fish in the bucket, the bag, whatever, before it even has a chance.
Ammonia burn, stress, yes, all kinds of things.
So that's more importantly that the people know is, and nobody asks that. Nobody ever asked me when I used to ship fish, well, what's your water chemistry like? That's to me the most critical factor because that's your starting point. Because then you know what it came from, and now you can work from what it is now.
I think that, honestly, it depends on each individual shipment. Because I'm importing from all over the world, right?
Rodrigo, let's say your pH is 7.8, and you're sending to Singapore, and their normal water pH is 6.0 or something.
Let's do it this way. I'm importing from Colombia, right? Over there, it's acidic water, right? So, for example, I built that acclimation system to make it easier for us because you're talking about 20, 30, 40 boxes at a time. It's impossible. So what we do is literally we look at the fish first. If the bag looks clean, the water is not dirty, okay, what we do is we get a bunch of the same fish, put in a container, and then we slowly open our water, right? Our brand new water that's already filtered, and that starts washing out the old water. But we also add ammonia remover in the water just to be safe in case of an ammonia spike. So we do that to every single order that comes in. But if it's a fish that, okay, look, he looks like he's going to die, okay, the water's bad, we're going to take that fish out right away and try to acclimate as fast as possible. I don't suggest that because you're shocking the fish even more. But to try to save it, if doing it slow, you're not doing anything.
If they're in a terrible situation and in bad water conditions and you put it to good water, they can make a full recovery real quick.
Yeah, if the fish is going to live, he will. It's better to do it faster than slow. But if the fish they come in good, healthy condition, like I just had a shipment from Colombia, everything was perfect. So that's what I did. I put everything in the rack, open my water, just let it. 30 minutes later, I take the fish out and put it in the tank. Not one fish died.
Awesome.
But I suggest, to all my customers when they get the fish, Floating in the tank is like he said, you're just doing the temperature.
Just the temperature.
If you can do it,
not the ammonia,
right.
Not nothing.
Right. If you can do a drip system, if the water looks clean, just do the drip system. 15, 20 minutes, take that fish out. Don't put the water in your tank. Just take the fish out and put it in your tank.
100%. And one from a chemistry standpoint that people may not recognize, you ask an average occurrent what pH is, and they just know it's pH. They don't know anything more about it. But it basically means parts of hydrogen, right? And going from pH of 6 to pH of 7 is not 1 point. It's actually 10 points. And that can be very, very severe. But like exactly what Rod said, 100%, if you have a fish that, looks like it's in stress, it can adapt a hell of a lot easier to dealing with levels of pH or hydrogen levels than it's going to be able to adapt to ammonia problems, nitrate problems, anything else. So exactly what Rod said, I agree with 1,000%. Get that fish out of the water and into the tank.
Thank you. I went to school for many years for this. But
and his woman slapped him around a lot for this.
We'll leave that for the next podcast.
Well, that might be for our live stream. We can get it face to face.
All right, I'll be there. I'll be there Friday night. But honestly, I think one of the subjects, changing the subject real quick, one of the subjects that should be discussed for everybody to know, people buy fish and they don't have the tanks. That's the worst thing. I deal with that every day. And I try to be polite because sometimes, I had a call the other day, the guy's like, hey, bro, my puck was dying. What do I do? I'm like, I don't even know who you are. Who'd you get a fish from? For me? No. Then what the fuck? What are you calling me? But I tried to help. But 70% of people that are buying fish right now, they do not know how to cycle a tank.
Hey, Rod, let me stop you right there. The only reason we back you is because you do try and help the problem.
Right.
Okay? But no. You're a pet store and you sell fish and blah, blah, blah. But you do help the problem. And I want everyone to know this. This is why we back you. This is why we show up at your show every year. This is why, we love you and you take care and try and help the problem out there and try and educate people. We love that.
Right. But what I was trying, and I appreciate that, Big Rich, but what I was trying to say is sometimes people just call. They don't even say, hey, how are you? They don't even care what are you doing if you're busy or nothing. It's just they call expecting an answer to save their fish. You know what I mean? And it's it was so simple if you just did a little research. It's all over the place. You learn how to cycle a tank, no problem.
Nobody looks at it anymore. It's just
nothing.
But 90% of the population don't know about the cycle of a tank.
No, and that's something that is insane because this is why I envy Asians when it comes to aquarium keeping and fish keeping, okay? Yes, they might overcrowd the tank, but these guys will spend a shit ton of money on filtration and then the fish. Over here, we do it different. We don't spend any money on filtration, but then we want to spend money on fish. And then we worry why the fish die.
Hey, but there's that new FX6 that should take care of all my problems.
True. I don't like canisters at all, but yes.
They want to buy the aquarium used at the cheapest price possible.
Yes.
DIY, they want to make their own junk. They want to pressurize a 5-gallon bucket they got from Home Depot and fill it with hair curlers that are used. And they want to do all this stuff, but then they want to go buy a $600 flower horn or a $700 this or something, and they want to throw it in the tank, and then when there's a problem, they can't understand why.
Look, don't get me wrong. If you do a DIY, you do it right, yes, you can 100% save money. But look, a majority of people go, well, my fish died, and I have it running for 3 months. Okay, what did you have it there? Just water. You know what I mean? So it's they don't know. That's one subject that people don't know.
And you're on the retail side, so you get all those questions every day. And like Rich said, you and me have never met, but I commend you as well. For someone that's willing to, you work in the retail sector, you answer emails, countless emails every day. You're taking phone calls, countless phone calls every single day, and you're helping people, genuinely helping out of the goodness of your heart. But you're also doing it in a way it's an investment in yourself and an investment in your business. everybody that phones in is a potential customer down the road if you treat them properly. And the reason they're phoning you is not just because you're knowledgeable, it's because you are exceptionally passionate about what you do and you're going to give back in that way. And maybe one day when they get the proper knowledge that you're giving them and they start reading, they start getting into it a bit more, then you're going to have a customer for life. And that's probably the main pillar of the success of your business.
Yeah, but to be 100% honest, I just want to save the fish. I don't even care if they call back to buy fish. It's not the fish fault that they're dying. You know what I mean? It's because
this is one of the reasons we back predatory fins. They still, sell pacu, and we don't back any store that sells pacu. But that's the one main problem on our whole situation. But we back predatory fins because they do care and they do try and help and they do a lot for the fish community.
Do you know that every time he sells a pacu, he sends a flyer and it has all the information about the pacu and everything?
It's for Big Rich. The ad is for Big Rich.
Once you this pacu and it's exceeded the size of your aquarium, no need to buy a bigger aquarium. Just contact OFR and here's the information.
But see, a lot of times people ask me.
That's horrible.
A lot of times people ask me that question, like, where all these big fish go? And you'd be surprised how many people out there have massive amount of ponds and big tanks, and they don't even want a pacu. They want monster fish. Yep. To be honest with you, you might not even like this, Big Rich, but a lot of the pacus I take, it goes to Hawaii. Because in Hawaii, they don't have a lot of land for cows, so they're buying pacu to grow them and breed them for food.
And they're probably one of the...
Let's not talk about food. Fish are not food. Fish are friends.
I don't eat fish. I don't eat fish at all.
I don't eat fish either, but the pacu is called the paqui, and in Brazil, that is probably one of the most cherished food fish because its main diet vegetable-based, and it eats fruits.
And I've heard that's really good, and I don't want to admit it, but it's really good. I've been told.
And here's another way to look at it: is we're talking about all these big fish. And maybe some shouldn't be sold in the hobby, and some meet an untimely demise due to the care given by the caregiver, and they didn't have the right size tank and stuff. And that's all true. And I'm not saying I have a solution for that. But let's look at it on the exact opposite of the scale. Let's talk about cardinal tetras or neon tetras. These fish are harvested by the tens of millions for the pet trade globally. How many, if they catch 1 million neon tetras, how many of those neon tetras do you think honestly end up in an end consumer's aquarium? I bet
100. Probably very little. 1,000 or so.
It's
very little.
Exactly.
Very little.
At every step of the way. But cardinal tetras for 6 cents or 8 cents or 11 cents or whatever it ends up being on the wholesale side. But they're extremely disposable to people. A pacu that's can handle so much abuse. I don't warrant the abuse, but it can just handle poor water quality, small tanks, bad feed, and live through it all, right? It shouldn't be, but it happens, and these fish persevere through all of that stuff so they can end up one day at Big Rich's place.
So let's get back into the talk. Rod kind of started hitting on it, and he was talking about how he was shipping small fish and how he does it. We'll just climb our way up the ladder.
Yeah, let's go up to big fish now. How the best way to ship a big fish that's a big problem across the United States.
You guys saw the vinyl bags, right, that I used before? That was my number one bag. Like, if you really want a fish to go through anything, those bags are the way to go. They're hard to get. They're very expensive, but they're the best way.
I hear you can only get them from Kevin Y. from Stingray Biology.
Well, that's kind of true, but we're actually got some. We got some plans going on. We might be bringing them in and start selling them.
Well, they're awesome bags. We love them.
And for a bigger fish is you have to make sure you purge them for at least a week.
Oh, yes. Purging, people, you got to understand. Do not feed your fish for at least a week beforehand.
Well, no, it depends on the type of fish. Big monster fish, yes. Small little sped-up kerosins and smaller fish that have a higher metabolism, 48 hours and tops. You go any longer than that, these fish are going to die before they get there.
You'll be weak for shipping. Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay, I get that.
We're talking
I
about
get
monster.
that. And I believe in that. And I believe what you're saying. But even let's go with what I'm used to is monster fish. We even sometimes take and put Epsom salt in the water. It's a diuretic, and it makes them pass everything.
Yep.
And, 3, 4, 5 days before shipping, we do the Epsom salt, and they pass everything. And next thing you know, they can stay 2-3 days in a bag of a 3-foot fish and can make it to their destination.
Speaking about monster fish and transport, I know you've got some guys on the podcast tonight that know a thing or two about transporting massive, huge monster fish. And I know I personally went all the way across the United States to pick up some big old fish. My dad's made a trip to California several times. Raj transported monster fish, and I'm sure...
From California.
Right.
The same place I got the fish.
And I'm sure Chris has had his whole ordeal of transporting monster fish as well. So we can go ahead and talk a little bit about how each of us, maybe it might be the same way, but we might have different ways that we transport our monster fish.
That is great. All right, let me tell you my story about going to California and then bringing these fish back.
Well, we don't have to talk about the story. We just talk about the technique.
The technique, right.
There we go.
Okay. Now, Rod went to the same trip as me, and I don't know his technique, but here's my technique. I took a few big tubs, and I put some big fish in there, and I had a 5,000-watt inverter in my rental truck. And I had extension cords going in. I had heaters going. I had linear air pump that ran every single sponge filter that we had running at the rescue that was formulated with bacteria and was running on many, many different tanks. I took them and kept them running all the way to California. And then when I come back, these, instead of just blowing air, I was blowing a sponge filter.
Just don't put Prime in the water, guys.
Yeah, don't do Prime. Don't do Prime. Prime works great unless you have your son sleeping back there, because you all know that story, right? Anyways, we ran the air pumps and then and then the air sponge filters, and everything was great. We didn't lose no fish on the way back the first trip.
Essentially, what that's doing, he's saying pre-seated filters, so you're automatically having to put air on these fish. If you use a sponge filter,
if you use
it's not only giving your fish oxygen, but it's also filtering the water at the same time. In some of the larger tubs, we go ahead and we actually take a barrel filled with, bio-balls or whatever media you might want to do at the time. You actually take that as a pre-seated filter set up, and you can stick a pump down in your water. Say it's a 6-foot round tub, which is what we use at times. You start getting this water sloshing around in there, and say you have that intake halfway down, and it sucks air while you're driving down the road. You might not see it driving down the road, but you pull over at a gas station, pump hasn't been running for 2-3 hours, you got fish dying. With a pump on it, it sucks air, it'll start right back up and filter your water out.
And you know what it's doing is it's taking your ammonia from your fish that you may or may not have not fed for 3 or 4 days like we asked you to, and they're peeing. They're creating ammonia. There's certain different biological aspects of this that turns ammonia into nitrites and then into nitrates, and then makes it less harmful nitrates. And your fish can live with that. The point is, you have to have some sort of biological filtration on a long distance trip. Rod's made long distance trips from California all the way to Florida. I went from California to Ohio. It was a 37-hour drive, 37 hours there, 37 hours back. And, the fish made it. I didn't. I got hurt. I fell out of the truck. I ripped all my tendons off my right shoulder. It was horrible. But I was seeing things. I was, hallucinating. It was a horrible thing. But I drove 92 hours straight. It was crazy.
So you guys got our perspective. Let's hear some of these other guys' perspective and how they do things.
I just ship them. I'm not driving for sure.
Rod says I just ship them.
I've never done anything like what you guys do. Where I live, the closest city, like the closest major city, is 8 hours away. All the major Canadian cities are all like 8-10 hours away from each other. It's just the way it is. So, like, I've never ever experienced the way you guys have done it. Is you guys didn't start out at the get-go at the very beginning. Once you first started OFR, even when you first started keeping fish, saying, hey, I want to drive across country and I got to, how am I going to go pick up a 4-foot catfish? You guys didn't plan that. You've grown and grown and grown, and you guys have had all sorts of mishaps and follies along the way, and that's what makes you watching your channel so important and so integral, is the fact that it's
interesting.
Real. It's real. You guys aren't, you guys not polished. It is what it is. We're going to drive across here, and we've got batteries, and we've got air pumps, and we've got water, and there's going to be something that you're not going to think about. You know what I mean? Like, you get a flat tire in the middle of the night or something, and then you turn the truck off, and the battery, the air pump kills the battery on the van. Now we're stuck here overnight. There's so many things that could go wrong that you can't plan for. But you guys have been doing this long enough that you got it down to a pretty good science that you guys know that no matter where it is, hey, we want to drive to Maine to get something. You guys might just not just jump in the truck and say, hey, let's go and get it. You guys got to plan it, but you guys have done it for so long that you know what you're doing. And that's why you guys are the people that people look to for this. Sorry, I'm not talking against Rod. I don't know Rod's side of it. Rod said he just ships fish. I wouldn't have a clue how to ship anything big like that. I know anytime that the wholesaler here gets anything big coming in and out of Brazil or anything like that, it's always packed. If it's something bitey or spiny, they put it in literally a plastic gas tank. They cut a side out of it. They throw the piranha or whatever it is in the gas tank. The gas tank goes inside a fish bag, inside a wooden crate, and then the wooden crate goes inside of a custom-made box, and then they ship it on its way. But I've never dealt with anything bigger than like a Royal Panac that's 24 or 30 inches long. The stuff you guys go get.
Oh, that's so little. It's cute.
Yeah, look. That's fraud, But like the stuff that you guys have driven across country, and there's been many of your adventures have been on your channel and stuff, the stuff that you guys go get. That's why you are who you are. Nobody else is willing to go to those lengths to the same degree.
Yeah, no, Big Rich, that was crazy. California drive now. When I went over there, Kevin and I bought a bunch of really large boxes, and we shipped everybody back to Florida. It was a lot less stressful for us, but to get everybody packed up, the main thing we do is we don't use their tank water. We use fresh water. And if the fish is like he was saying, like if the fish is going crazy, you just put a little bit of ice in the bag. I try to keep that ice separate. So let's say I'll get another bag, put the ice inside just to cool the water enough for them to calm down,
right,
and ship. But that was it.
Kevin was there, and Mr. Wu told us all these things, and we took that 30-inch tarpon, and we put him in the 6-foot round tub and filled it full, half full of water. It was about 1,500 gallons. Now, we thought, no problem. I tell you what, within a half hour, that fish died on us, and it was because of sloshing around. Yeah. That we were doing while driving on the highway. It was sloshing back and forth.
Now, to be fair, tarpon are so hard to transport. It's kind of like
they are very timid.
That's just a fish that as a fish keeper, you probably shouldn't transport at that size. But you're going to try.
I felt a failure. I felt like a failure because we weren't even an hour out, and this fish died on us. And I was so upset, No,
but that's how we learn, Nobody's going to teach us how to do it. We learn on our own.
Well, how many people know how to move a 30-inch tarpon?
Exactly.
You know what's that?
It's totally opposite end of the spectrum for you, but like you feel like you failed, excuse me, about moving a fish of that size. people that export Coriodoris, and Rod, if you import Coriodoris catfish, the little pep cories from South America, hundreds of species. Most people never knew about it, but back in the day when you were bringing them in, and you would lose a fairly large percentage of them. And people could never figure out what the trick was to shipping them. They thought massive oxygen potential or something different. No, the trick is the fact that cories will stress out like crazy once they're in that environment of a box. And they release a toxin into the water that essentially is going to poison them. So people that generally really know how to work with cories, the top cory people in the world, in the UK, in the States, and South America, what they do is once they catch the cories out of the tank, I'm talking the tank at the packing station in, say, Manaus, Brazil, and they're ready to export that bag of cories. They put them into a tub with clean water, and then they keep repeatedly kicking that tub for a few hours to stress the fish out enough that they release that toxin out of their body. And they keep changing the water. And once that's done, then they package those cories up and send them on their way. Now, how you think about that? How long would you have to figure out that was the problem? The fish were actually poisoning themselves to be able to figure to ship them properly. And I don't know whoever figured it out, but I know Ian Fuller in the UK and Rob McClure in the States, like a lot of these big shippers that move cories all over the world that are breeding them. This is a trick that they all use, and that's the only thing you can do to guarantee success rates. So you're dealing with a tarpon, like exactly like Josh said. That is a horrible fish to ship on a good day. Even a small one would be a horrible thing to ship on a good day. It's a challenging fish to
This was a 30-inch tarpon, and I was so happy to have him. And I thought, he's going to be a staple at Ohio Fish Rescue, and then I couldn't keep him alive. Yep. It was crazy. Within a half hour of moving him, he was dead, and I was in tears. I was just like, I'm a failure.
Have you ever gone in, I know you transport with different tubs and stuff like that. Do you deal with seasonality temperatures? Like going to California versus Ohio, you're going to deal with massive temperature swings. Do you guys insulate anything? Do you use enclosed panel trucks? What do you do?
Well, at that time, we used a truck. Now, mind you, nobody knows this. Okay, what was the truck called?
It's called a reefer.
And it's made for refrigeration. But that refrigeration truck can keep the inside of the bed of the truck at about 80 degrees.
Yep.
All we needed was 76 or so. I did not know that you can keep, I'm looking for a heating truck, but refrigerated trucks can keep the temperature up to 76. Now, they're made for being about 40 degrees and, saving produce and all that kind of stuff, but they can keep it up to 80 degrees.
Well, the nice thing is
we rented a produce truck, and it kept it at 76 degrees all the way home.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You guys ever heard of, I don't know if any of you guys have any experience with this. I just know about it because I've met with them when I've gone with the wholesaler here to Interzoo in Germany. A lot of the massive producers of some of the best koi in the world are in Israel. And Israel as a country, all the fisheries are all biosecure, which is a huge thing in the industry right now, particularly with koi because of koi herpesvirus. Now, when you talk about what the thing that they did is, I remember the very first shipment we got in from koi, from Israel, there were probably 20 koi, all over a foot in size. They're going to be the size of your forearm, the koi itself. And it looked like they took the adult fish and threw them in the box and then misted them with an inch of water and then sent them on their way. And they had this little tiny, we thought it was a heat pack, but it wasn't a heat pack. And it was actually the same type of material that's used in deep sea divers' masks for scrubbing nitrogen out of the air. And they had these little things taped inside the bag. You can't put a heat pack inside the bag because it, defeats the purpose, right? Heat packs have to be taped inside the box or the lid. But this thing was called an oxygen scrubber. It is inside the thing. I've never seen it used anywhere else in the world. I don't know if it's a cost thing. I don't know if most people don't know about it. But I'm not kidding.
Did the fish live?
Not a single, when they're importing from these guys in Israel, they'll pack 1,000, 1,500 adult guppies in a box. Not 500 like a Florida producer would, Like, I'm talking 1,500, 2,000 in a box. Rams, guppies, all the.
Maybe we can learn something from them.
I've never seen anything like it before. And I remember going when we were over there, the guy said he told us what it was and how the technology used and stuff. And it was all from deep sea divers. It was something called like a scrubber that was the same type of material that was used for scrubbing nitrogen out of their masks. And it revolutionized, especially for people like you that are dealing with larger fish and Rod, who's trying to ship, bigger fish across the country. I think this thing could revolutionize the industry if it wasn't cost prohibitive. I don't know.
So we have a question from one of the listeners tonight, and they're wanting to know about placement of heat packs. He said that he was told on top of the box, but heat rises, so I assumed the bottom.
The problem with the bottom is if the bag leaks, then there's no more heat pack.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
And also another thing I come to find out, if you're shipping smaller bags and that water is sitting directly on the heat pack, that water can get very, very hot. And your fish might, perish from, being too hot. So you always tape it to the top of the box.
It can also perish from not being hot enough. This is the
You don't think about it the same way we do. In Canada, like in the wintertime, we're buying fish from Florida fish farms. Well, it's super hot in Florida, but they're going.
Have you bought from
It's freezing where we are. So we got to put in the right type of heat pack that it's not too hot when it's packed, because we don't want them to cook while they're still in Miami airport. We want the heat to kind of kick on as they're getting up north. And how long's that air pack are they packed for? We get in sometimes when we bring in from India, and you have to put they have to put cold packs in the boxes in India to ship to Canada in the middle of winter. It doesn't make any sense, but that's what we have to do because it's too hot there.
That brings a lot of holy shit! I didn't think about that to the table.
Yeah, when you get a phenomenal shipper, these are all the things that they think of for you that you don't think about.
You don't know at all as someone wanting. All you know is you want that fish shipped to you. Thank God there's people out there like you, Chris, and Rodrigo that know and think ahead of time as to what to add to these fish being shipped to you.
You know what I learned the other day?
What's that?
We were packing I think it was 60 boxes. And now I'm dealing a lot with smaller fish like plecos and stuff like that. Every single pleco that we packed, they pooped in the bag. So we had to open all of them over again and repack all of them.
They're poop factories. You know that.
No, but look. There's no way for you not, even if you're not feeding them, they're still eating stuff around the tank. So now, like he was saying, now what we do is we put them in a container. We wait a couple hours. We leave them for last. They poop all over the container, and we take them out and put them in the bag. But that's the whole discussion we're doing. You learn as you go. So that's what I'm saying for you, Big Rich. Don't feel like a failure. It was a trial. It messed up. I know exactly what you're talking about. I imported a huge tiger ray when I first opened the business, and I was in love with it. It was like something out of a movie. I never seen one in person, and I was just so happy. And I acclimated too fast. I turned around, the thing's like a pancake upside down. And that was the biggest tiger ray I've seen in my life. So
that's horrible.
It's a mistake, that we did, and we learned from it. We don't do it again.
Hey, you know what? You learn from your mistakes, and you become better fish keepers from it. And you know what? People rely on you, Rod, because you are an international shipper, and you supply people all over the United States with great fish. You know what I'm saying? I've not heard bad things, coming back. You are a great pet store and a great shipper.
Fish store.
Fish store. What did you say? Pet store. Okay, fish store. No, you have done what other people have wanted to do and dreamed of doing. You have taken over and done it. You just out of nowhere started a pet store, and next thing you know, you're taking over the country. I mean, you are doing great things.
I'm in for the hobby. I want to see these fish. I want to make sure they're good, they're healthy. You know, it's not like I said. If it was just to build a store, that's cheap. I would just be like everybody else. But I have so much money to build the displays, and just so I can enjoy it myself, but also to be there for other people to enjoy it. Kind of like what you do, but totally different.
Well, just know that we love what you do, and we appreciate what you do, and we recommend you to everybody.
I appreciate it, man. You guys are like family.
So speaking of shipping, to kind of go off topic just a tad bit, we have our good buddy Joe Rockwell, who is also one of our moderators and admins for the Ohio Fish Rescue. Well, we were sitting here drinking one night. We were having a good old time. Now, my good buddy Joe, he's single right now, and he was feeling very, very lonely. So, we're sitting around the table, and we're drinking.
Wait a minute. What does predatory fins have to do with anything of this?
I'm not single, Josh. I'm not single.
So, I'm just telling the story for all the listeners out there. So we're sitting around the table drinking, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, you know what? What can I ship this poor, lonely man? So, we're all coming up with ideas, and I'm like, you know what? I got it. And I go on Amazon. I'm like, you know what, Joe? What's your address? He sends it to me. I'm like, oh, you sucker, shouldn't have done that. And so I go on Amazon, and I type in the words pocket pussy.
Oh my god! My god!
And I get the first one that pops up, this Supreme thing, and I'm like, you know what? Send this to Joe Rockwell at such and such.
$8.95. No problem.
It was like $50.
Oh, $50?
It was ridiculous. But we go ahead and we get this shipped off to him, and I forget about it. Like 3 weeks
dude, we
later,
forgot completely.
Joe hits me up, and he's like, you motherfucker. He's like, my mom intercepted that package. She almost opened it in front of my father. So, he proceeded to use this as a fish tank decoration.
He put it in his fish tank. And it was sitting at the bottom, and he called it an eel trap.
Well, it is.
He calls us and he's like, I hid that at your house. And I'm like, what? So now, who knows who's going to find it, where,
wait. You're skipping over something entirely here. Okay. This man went through customs on an airplane with his pocket pussy.
Yes, he did.
Now, you gotta be a brave man to do something like that, because he
didn't know it was there.
He did know it was there if he brought it here to hide it.
Oh yeah, he brought it back here. Now this man, he stayed here for the weekend, and then he went home and he's like, I want to challenge you guys to find. That was funny. You guys sent it to me. But I left it at your house, and now I challenge you to find it. We looked everywhere. We could not find this thing.
But this thing is now a community one. This is basically, it's been used. It's been in a fish
tank. This is a community pocket pussy.
That's a community one. It's available to whoever stays over.
Right.
I personally don't think he brought it, because we ripped this house apart and we could not find it.
Oh my God, we ripped this house apart.
And he's single.
Yes.
Oh, he's still single.
All right. So we have another question from our listeners. They're asking about, what about using chemicals like methylene blue and clove oil? Well,
clove oil has to be administered in
No. We're going to be honest. Clove oil sucks. I will never use it. Clove oil, it is so just harsh on a fish. I saw one person use clove oil to, put his catfish out of misery, and it was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life happen to a fish. This thing was thrashing around, and you hear these stories that they peacefully just go to sleep. No, these things thrash around, and you're basically putting poison in the water to sedate this fish, or put them to sleep for good, depending on how much you use. So all these good stories about clove oil, I would personally not use it. And I don't know about you guys and your experience with clove oil.
There's no reason for anybody to use clove oil when there's actually proper products that are available in the marketplace for shipping things properly. Clove oil for the purpose of actually euthanizing a fish or something for whatever. If you have to end up at that scenario, then I agree with that. But I agree 100% with you, Josh. Otherwise, there's no way any of us can control the volume or the dosage or anything like that to administer it properly.
Oh my God.
So use the proper, products out there for shipping a fish. Now we have a question about methylene blue and shipping. Have you ever used that for shipping, Rod?
No. To be honest, I just use brand new water. I don't use the Aquarium water. And that's it.
See, he's back to the old adage: fresh water, the best medicine ever. Clean, clear, good water is the best fish medicine ever.
I feel like adding more chemicals to the water, you don't know what could happen, in 5 to 10 hours later.
There is one thing that we used to use that we don't know more, and they were called bag buddies. It was a very mild sedative, and they also released oxygen into the water.
They were a jungle product. They also had methylene blue in them, but they also increased the total dissolved solids in the bag like exponentially.
It was not a good product.
But it was the closest one that we actually used.
Yeah, I think just clean water and purging your fish.
Clean water is the best medicine, period. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap this up a little bit, Josh. Rodrigo, Predatory Fins, we thank you for your patronage tonight. We appreciate you being here. And, you're the only mass shipper around the world that we back. We love you. You're a good guy. You do good things. You also run a rescue, and that's down in Florida in Boca Raton. This guy goes up and above and beyond just owning a pet store. He's not there for the money. He's a good guy. So you guys should all check him out. And then Chris Biggs, thank you for your knowledge and your patronage. We love you. You're a good guy. I appreciate you being here.
Anytime, brother.
Yeah, it's always a great conversation with both of you guys. It was a fun time. We had a little bit of story time. We shared this fountain of knowledge. So I thank you guys both for tuning in to the OFR takeover of the Aquarium Guys podcast.
Oh, yeah. Who's Rob's?
Yeah. We don't even need that guy.
You don't need that guy. We can run his show, no problem.
But don't get used to it.
I'll see you guys Friday.
It's been a good night, man. Appreciate it.
Have a good night. Be safe.
Cheers, guys.
Take care, brother.
Thanks, guys, for listening to the podcast. Please go to your favorite place where podcasts are found, whether it be Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever they can be found. Like, subscribe, and make sure you get push notifications directly to your phone so you don't miss great content like this.
I never knew that a Minnesota accent could be so sexy until I heard Adam's voice.
Go f*** yourself, don't you know?
That's my boy, don't you know?